Peace, YouTube. It's kind of dark, right? I hope you can see me, right? Can you see me okay? I have new like camera stuff. Let me know if you can see me. If you can, put a 13 and just a gracious like in the video. Can you? And can you hear me? That's number one. Peace, peace, peace. You can, you can. Can you hear me okay? Perfect, okay. I have a fan on just in case. It's a little hot. Perfect. Hold on. Oh, uh-oh. My fan's gone loco. My fan's like doing this twisty thing. I didn't even know I can do that. Wow. You know when you have fun stuff and you have that? Okay. Okay. I think I have good lighting, right? I have a light on my fan. Y'all, I'm getting a little technologically sound, right? Okay. The lighting okay? Okay. Okay, perfect. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Let me know you can hear me. Boa tarde, Renata. Tudo bem? Renata's in the house. Karaoke. Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so you can hear me perfect. So peace to the east, the west, north, and south. This is FleurBrun comes. Listen, my dogs were nice and quiet before I started talking. So give me a minute, let them kind of calm down. Peace to the east, the west, north, and south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. So check on in. I hope everybody's well, right? Hold on, I gotta get my water. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Check out this bazaar. Okay. I shouldn't say hello. I don't say hello. I say salutations. Yafi. Yafi's in the house. Quantum Sensei is in the house. So I say shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Because remember, I'm very neutral. Assalamu alaikum. Jambo. Bonjour, bonjour. Comment ça va? Ça va très bien? Boa tarde. Buenas tardes. What else do I know? Konnichiwa. Ni hao. Shakran. Is that shakran? Hola. Ça passe. Am I getting it? Am I getting all the terms okay? Okay, so I'll wait until a few more people check in before I start. I always start to tear up when I come in here. Bonne nuit. Is it? Oh, it's nighttime already. It's bonne nuit. It's already night. Oh, that's right. In France, it's nighttime. 6 hours different. Wingapo. What language is that, Rod? Wingapo. Is that African? Is that Swahili? Wingapo. I like the way that sounds. Wingapo. I want to learn more. Wagwan. What up, merging timelines? Wagwan. I love it. This is giving greetings to everyone of every nationality, every background, every tongue. Patuan Algonquin. Ooh, I love that. Blaze is in the house. What up, Obsidian Blaze? Blazing it. Look. There. Listen. Look at this. They were quiet before I came on here. It's like children. Look. It's the. Look at them. Look at them. Look at us. Everybody was fine before I came on here. Okay. I don't know why I tear up. Hey. Come on. Okay, go lie down. Go lay down, Babette. All right, yeah. I've got like 4 dogs now. Wish me well, okay? I've got a German Shepherd. I've got a Rough Collie, and now I have 2 Siberian Huskies. Don't ask me if I'm saying aloha. Don't ask me if I'm saying, because I think once you get more than 1 dog or 1 animal, Star Rose, you think that's cool? Listen, it's only cool when when I go to sleep at night. Give me 5 on the brown side. What up, Harry? Okay, you're in Europe? Asley Haynes? We're experiencing the pole shift last year. I think the timelines, oh, you're getting it already? Star Rose? Babette is the queen. You know that, Yafi. Babette is everything. I serve her first, you know what I mean? She is a queen being. Okay, so check on in before I start. Remember Babette? Oh, you guys remember, right? Babette, when she was the first, right? Come on in. I don't know why I tear up as soon as I get in here. Is someone sad? I'm gonna cover up the girls today. This is like my, you know when people like, they say there's a dragon guarding all the secrets? These are my dragons. Like I have twin dragons. So like when people are really, really offended, this is perfect because this offends them before they even listen to my video. So I love that. So let's get into the conversation. And before I begin, I'll wait until we get to 500. I want to say, I heard of Brother Panic's passing. And I wanted to say, you know, I'm really happy for him to have transitioned in a way that I know only he could do. I am sorry for his family, for his wife. I know Khadijah loved him more than anything in this world. So I really want to wish the family well, peace at this time. I know it's very hard because he was such a strong component in that household and in many of your lives. So I want everyone to know, you know, Brother Panic did transition. Do know that he is, like I said, there shouldn't be any sadness because for a couple of years he's been teaching many of you how to properly transition and where you would go after passing away. So I want to say big up to Brother Panic. And I think for many of you during this shift and this reset, Brother Panic will be one of your leads, assisting those to transition properly. And find their way down the Yellow Brick Road to the Emerald City. So I want to say congratulations to Panic for transitioning, as I know he did so well. And I want to give my greatest condolences to his entire family, his children, his wife, his sister, all of his family. And, you know, and just a FYI, you know, I haven't really been one. It's interesting that Brother Panic, for many of you know that he was like I was his biggest hater at one point, and then just recently became one of his biggest fans and followers. So, you know, things change and transitions happen within people. And like I said, he had profound information, wonderfully and effortlessly and freely gave that information if you were in alignment with it. And I think, you know, his hitting that panic button by transitioning now should let you know what time it is, okay? I think his transition was perfectly chosen by him. Remember, I haven't believed that anyone's a victim. And his transition, remember, his name is Panic, so he hit that panic button, and I think everyone should take note of that who knew him. So big up to everyone who really supported Panic. You know, again, please be compassionate to his wife. I've seen a lot of really nasty comments, and I think, you know, I've been a wife, and I have a mom who's my dad transitioned. I think it's really low vibrational of you to even say something so nasty about someone's grieving process when they transition. Shame on you. Shame on you. And I hope, you know, someone returns the same, you know, integrity when you transition, or someone you love, and you'll see how that feels. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. If you didn't have the guts to say it to him, one thing you know with me and Panic, I spoke my words loud, and I wasn't waiting for someone to transition to speak ill of them. You know what I mean? That's real punk. So big up to the family. I just wanted to say that, and I acknowledge and I say congratulations to Brother Panic for making a beautiful transition. And I know that he will help many of you who are part of his group to help you to go through this process as we go through reset. Okay? So anyway, come on in, y'all. Check it out. We at the 500 mark. Let's get it in. So we're going to talk about the rest in peace to the NPCs. As many of you know, the NPCs are starting to transition out of the realm of the hologram. Now, for some of you who are unaware of what I know, because remember, what I accept doesn't have to be something you accept. I just ask that you respect, and if you want to listen to my concept and my knowing, then that's fine. We're living in a holographic holodeck simulation. This is all artificial. Everything around you is basically a simulation, other than your biological suit that some people who have souls have decided to, be encapsulated in this bodysuit. Okay, you've chosen certain DNA, certain kind of genetic dispositions to allow you to engage in this holographic experience. As you see with all of the NPCs that you denote on television, a lot of them are transitioning. That isn't by chance, because remember, this hologram is about to end. Reset is underway, and because we're in pre-reset and also we're going through a preempt, a pole shift, you're starting to see people leave the planet. Some are disappearing. Sometimes what happens is that because because the program doesn't have enough data, because we're at the end, it's almost like when you go to the end of a program, there's only so much data. And because there isn't a lot of data at the end, especially towards reset, things start to disappear. Like that's where you see sometimes on the television or on social media, you'll see like weird videos of people sitting outside and all of a sudden they disappear, or children on a bus and all the children disappear, because those are NPCs. Those are part of the simulation. Those are simulated beings. Okay. You weren't aware of it. Now, for not everything in here is particularly a simulation, just like we have biological bodies that we encase our souls inside of. There are, they've been making bioborgs, syntheticas, like digital, bioborgs, like syntheticas, what else? There's cyborgs, okay? We have cyborgs that are wearing living skin. They geo-engineer skin on top of them. If you get a concept of this, you should watch Westworld, okay? Westworld has this. The old Westworld, y'all, which I think if you want to have another movie added to your regimen, remember, I'm an old school C-star, okay? So I would ask you to watch the first Westworld, the movie, when they were going, like these people were going on vacation to a resort. They were going on vacation to a resort, and then they were being replaced in their sleep with bioborgs and sent home, so people didn't really notice them. Now, I can give you examples of this. Many of you watch Coast to Coast Radio, okay? So Coast to Coast Radio was one of my favorite. Many of you remember, we listened to it. I used to fall asleep to Coast all the time, especially when George Norrie was on there. Anybody remember George Norrie? Big up to all those who used to watch Coast to Coast, okay? Actually, my show, Aquarius Rising, follows that kind of regimen. Tribal Serpent in the house was good. Coast to Coast, OG. Remember when I used to have Aquarius Rising, that will be returning. A lot of my show was really inspired by George Norrie's show, Coast to Coast. So many of you will see me resurge that show again with calls and phone calls. We were getting a lot of phone calls from aliens. Anyway, needless to say, when Art Bell was my favorite, right? Rosh Murray. Art Bell was amazing. Art Bell was the original and amazing. And I think in that itself, there isn't anybody who can match his delivery, what he brought to the show. How the show evolved was because of Art Bell. I'm sorry about that. So Art Bell, rest in peace. So if you remember a show where they had a show where a guy denoted he was living in the UK. Remember that? and he denoted getting on the tube. The tube is the subway system, right? So he got on the subway, right? And he was sitting on, and he looked all around the car, and he felt like an eerie kind of feeling, right? So he felt like this weird kind of eerie feeling, like something was off. And he looked around them, and he saw these people, seemingly like people, and he looked at them, and they had odd kind of like non-organic movement or reactions. And he noticed that the woman next to him had like seams next to her ear that seemed to be unstitched. And then he looked at the guy who was looking at the newspaper, and he's opening up the newspaper like a computer, like that. So all of a sudden the tube stops, right? The tube stops. This is on, this was George Norrie's show on Coast to Coast. The tube stops. They get up all together like toy soldiers and marched out of the car. That's when he knew that they were doing preemptive beta tests with cyborgs living amongst people to see if people noticed. Then we had the Sea Star. Big up to the Sea Star who was on Zoom with us a while ago. She was the one who explained to us that they had a beta test city with cyborgs in North Carolina where the mailmen would go and deliver mail, and they were trying to see if people really realized if they were cyborgs or not. So even though we're living in a simulation, just like we have organic bodies, some of us with souls, some, there are beings here coexisting who literally are cyborgs, and they're basically putting more cyborgs out here. That's why you're seeing all this kind of weird kind of technology. Like when you go to the grocery store, you see less tellers. They're getting you ready for reset because there isn't a lot of people here, right? Spyborgs, thank you. I always spyborgs, okay? There's a lot of these beings out here. They're replacing people like Westworld with cyborgs because they're trying to give you the illusion that this is real. Remember the lady said, that mother freaker is not real. Remember she was in the back of the, oh, I got that as my ringtone, y'all. Yes. So that being said, because they know that the NPCs are disappearing, and they also know that this is the end of the AI system and the data doesn't have as much information, they need to give the illusion that this is real. So now they're trying to bring in cyborgs, bioborgs to replace people because the NPCs are disappearing because it's digitalized. That mother freaker's not real. Okay, so now you have this whole system about to do reset. We're going through a preamped pole shift. Okay, sorry, let me drink some water. We're going through a preamped pole shift, and because they know and they're trying to keep up the illusion, they're Orphan Black. Listen, oh my God, recalibrate. I remember Orphan Black. I watched it a while ago because remember I was on a show in Holland. Big up to the show I used to do in Holland. They made me watch that with the clones, right? And then you have replacements. So big up to everybody who was on the last Weirby. We jumped onto Zoom. Did you guys remember what we were watching? We were watching an old video. It was in 2016 or 17 where Kanye West, you all have to watch it. Kanye West made a video. It's called, it's called Celebration? What's that video we were watching? Where's my sea stars that were in there? What was the movie? What was the video we were watching? What was the video we were watching? Can anyone remember? Oh God, it's the one where he has the clones in the bed. Who? Give me the name, y'all. Give me the name. Was it Celebration? What was the name of it? I forgot the name. Frickaroonies. Let me see who was in here. No, was it Runaway? It wasn't Runaway. Famous. Thank you. Thank you, Eucalina. Thank you. It's Famous. Y'all have to watch this video because he was telling you about the clones. He had Donald Trump in the bed. He had George Bush, naked clones. And how you know they're clones, y'all? Remember, for some of you who knew me, everyone who knew me, you remember I got in a lot of trouble with YouTube. That's the first time YouTube started to delete all my videos because I had visited a cloning center in the etheric realm, and I saw Gayle King, I saw some sort of other comedian, and I also saw what's that Brother Inky, Dr. Inky, who was there, and he was running out of the back seat of the car. Anyway, so the clones, remember they used to delete everything about clones? Watch that video again, y'all. It's called Famous. If you see all the clones, you had George Bush in a bed, you had Donald Trump in a bed, you had Insectillion Queen herself, Kim Kardashian in the bed, you had Rihanna in the bed, you had Kanye in the bed, you had who else? What's the other guy? You had a whole bunch. Listen, the clones are real. And how you know they're clones, y'all, is because, and we discussed this for many years, and that's why you don't hear people tell you the truth about clones, because they don't want you to know, because probably they're a clone themselves. We don't even know. Taylor Swift was in the bed, right? Taylor Swift. And how, okay, so before I tell you how you are able to recognize their clones, do you realize that Kanye West had the same woman that he so-called violated, Taylor Swift? Because at the time, remember he went on stage and said Taylor Swift didn't deserve the award, it should have gone to Beyonce, she's the greatest artist ever. Why would Taylor Swift not sue him? Why wouldn't Donald Trump sue him? Why wouldn't George Bush? He's using their images and clones and all of the, what's her name? What's the one, the slut chasing one? What's the one he used to date? Oh God. What's her name? The one he used to date, the blonde, you know, really, she looks like a big cyborg. Not Kim Kardashian, the other one. You know, the one that, Amber Rose. Amber Rose. Thank you, y'all. Amber Rose. I forgot her name because that's how relevant she is. Amber Rose. She had now Amber Rose and him have beef. You don't think if that wasn't real, she would have sued him? Why did they allow him to put that in the video? All of them were lying in a bed. It was eerie. You know how you know that they are real clones? Because clones are born out of the womb. They're artificial. They're not born in the womb. So they're fresh like a newborn baby. But how you know they're clones is because babies breathe with their stomach going up. We, after time, start to breathe with our chest, which is not, it isn't a natural form. We aren't supposed to breathe with our chest going up and down. We're supposed to actually breathe. Our bellies are supposed to go up when we breathe, and when we breathe out, the belly's supposed to go in. That happens with babies naturally. But usually human beings, from being, you know, growing up, smoking, eating wrong, breathing wrong, we breathe from our chest. All of those clones, if you look at them, and even the Donald Trump one that was breathing out of his back, y'all, it was crazy. Watch that video. You breathe, you're supposed to breathe in a stomach. So that's how you know a clone, because they breathe from their belly like a baby. Like when a newborn baby's born, they breathe properly because they're just freshly born. They breathe the way they're intended. Clones do the same, okay? So watch that video, Famous. You're gonna see what happens here. So all these beings you're seeing here, y'all, if they in fact had transitioned, all they do is clone them, and you walk around seeing clones. Now, clones haven't a lot of dexterity. They haven't a lot of genetic dexterity. So what happens a lot of times, clones aren't very durable. They get sickly, they break down because they're artificial. Remember, there isn't anything like the original. It doesn't matter how many knockoffs you make of people. And to let you know clones are real in Hollywood, remember when Madonna used to walk around and she paid somebody to wipe all her DNA off of everything she touched after her concerts and during her concerts? Do you guys remember that? Do you remember when Madonna, she would have concerts, right? She paid someone specifically to go and wipe off her DNA every time she walked or touched something or did something. Okay? You remember that? You remember when Britney Spears lost her goddamn mind? I don't even think she had a mind. She lost her goddamn mind and she shaved off her hair. You know why? Because she didn't want them having her DNA and making clones. Because really with the clones, and we talk about the cloning centers where if your clone is being violated, you can feel it because it's connected to your DNA. It's kind of like the 100 monkey syndrome, okay? So all of these times that they'll replicate a person, a celebrity. Now, first of all, for you to even be considered a celebrity, most likely you are already a replication. I would love to know their blood type. Chances are they're all negative Rus, okay? So they've all been replicated. Just for you to be in that position, remember, you're living in like, first of all, we're living in a simulation where where dark beings have hijacked aspects of what goes on in this simulation. The simulation is ran by an AI system that goes through a cylindrical pattern of digitalized data of same events. That's why World War I, World War II, World War III are all the same. It has different looking characters, but it's all basically the same digitalized data. Okay, so that's why they'll always say there's nothing new under the sun. The clones are real. Now, first of all, when they cloned Tyrone, I told you, I personally think that wasn't a clone. I personally think that was a cyborg. Okay, with Clone Tyrone, the clones were reminiscent of the guys who were all replications, all the light-skinned guys with the afros. Those, to me, that were running the whole cloning center underneath the ground in Clone Tyrone, those to me were the clones. The ones that were encased in those, those tall tubes, personally, I think that was like a Westworld version. Those were cyborgs. This is what I personally think. That's why he wasn't able to, because clones would know things. Clones still have a biological imperative. They still live with a feeling and eating, even if it's a lesser graded degree. They still feel and eat and do all that stuff. Whereas cyborgs are just basically like walking, talking robots, okay? With some biological skin that's, if you ever watch Terminator, it's the whole concept. Like, remember he dug his eye out when he got shot, and then, basically you could see his whole cyborg eye, okay? So those are totally different. In Clone Tyrone, that was Cap. And what's crazy is that most people thought those were clones. No, they were clones in it, but the clones were the light-skinned guys that all looked alike. The actual cyborgs with the cyborg skin, those were actually robotoids. That's why he didn't notice his mother wasn't in the room. A clone would have noticed that his mother never came out of the room. A clone would have noticed little idiosyncrasies because they still have a biological imperative, whereas a cyborg doesn't. It has a program that it follows, and that's about it. Okay? So that being said, there are now, because we are going to reset, and the pole shift, pre-pole shift, all the program is happening with World War III. Now, let me explain something, y'all. I'm actually going to break down. I need to write, you know what? I need to make a survival kit for y'all during this time to understand and understand that this isn't real. This is a simulation, and majority of people around you, and you may even be a part of the simulation. I don't know. Okay? I could be. You don't know. So really in itself, we kind of broke down that, when they say the whole thing with 144,000 souls, I personally think it's only 144 in this motherfreaker. But that's here, there, nowhere. I don't think there's a lot of people here. I don't think there's a lot of encapsulated souls in here. I think we are walking around with a lot of simulated people, NPCs, empty seaters, basically simulated people. And then we're walking around with a lot of cyborgs. And then we got others like using bodies as jump seats. We got jump seat people. Like jump seats are people who just have there's a biological body that has organic movement and everything. And beings come from outside of the firmament, and they basically I don't know what they do. They go into jumpsuit bodies, okay? Jump seat bodies, where they can go in, get buck wild, drop it like it's hot, drink, smoke, do weed, do coke, all that stuff, and then they jump back out. So you have jump seat bodies here, where people just come from the outside to engage in the carnal perversions that we have in this simulation. Okay, so that being said, right now the end of the program is happening. There isn't a lot of data, so you're going to see a lot of glitches. Okay, then you're going to be playing out the end time simulation, because this is this purposeful simulation is the Earth simulation. So you're going to go through the whole rapture thing, all these kind of simulated, it's like a video game. This is Earth simulation video game. So you're going to have the whole end time frequency kind of end time program playing out. The religious war, the holy war, you know, everybody believes that everything. Let me explain something, y'all. One thing that I will tell you, and this is my recommendation for you, okay? You shouldn't take any sides, because when you take a side, you get karma, okay? I personally, this is how I feel during this whole end time thing. I love who I love. So I have my homegirl who's living in Israel. I love her and her family. That's it. I don't support nothing they do over there. I don't have nothing to do with the government. If you got something to do with the government, that's on you. But like I said, as far as voting, supporting a government, supporting things that people do, I won't take on that karma. But I love my girlfriend. I love her family. That's who I support. When any Palestinians, I love the people I know that I love, and I love them and their families. That's all I support. I don't support any governmental systems. I am a political atheist, just like I'm a simulation atheist. I don't have any legs. I don't have any feet in this race, okay? And if you want to stay out of it, you need to stop all that protesting and all that stuff. First of all, when you support one side, you support what goes along with the shenanigans of what they do to the other side. And if you support the other side, you're going to go along with karmic debt that goes along with the other side. So if one side is going around killing people, killing children, killing people, and you support that political system, then you're going to take on the karmic debt with that. Same with the other side. Mind your business. Unless you live there, you know that life, you're about that life, it shouldn't be your business. And if you're going to support a system, why would you support something only because it's progenerated on social media? How come you didn't support the Palestinians before this happened? How come you didn't support, because really in itself, how come Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Egypt were denying entry of these poor Palestinians before? So if it wasn't about a social economic BS, how come those beautiful, rich, wealthy Arab nations weren't taking these poor, innocent Palestinians before and letting them in? Because it's all cap. Do you understand? It's all a setup. Support, love people, be empathetic, and give empathy to anyone who's innocent, who is experiencing really a lot of strife. But remember, anything that happens, if these are people that are real, they gonna come back in the same situation of the same things that they're doing to the other side. Mind your business, unless that's your house, because I don't see anybody going over Haiti talking about why the U.S. is in there and they got a whole freaking, they have a whole embassy robbing, stealing gold over in Haiti, displacing people, killed, murdered their whole prime minister with a whole mercenary crew that was American and Colombian. I don't see y'all going and protesting for the Haitians or the destabilization of the Haitians that they're doing over there. How come you didn't do that? Where's your protest for them? Because that happened before this, right? How come you're not going over to the Congo talking about why they're doing genocide to the people over there? How come you're not doing that? Oh, because maybe they're not the complexion of protection? I'm just saying, so if you're about that life, how come you only do it when it's being progenerated on social media? That's why I say a lot of people are suffering under social engineering, Stockholm syndrome. They only support that which is being promoted to them. I love children and families. You understand? So I don't need to be engaged in anything. And first of all, I don't even live over there. It's not my business. How do I even know that's real? The people who live there, that's the people who have a stake in this. That's who's engaging in this. So this is a simulation, y'all. Be careful what you support and what you're trying to put your foot into, because what you may do is add a bit of karmic residue or a simulation residue that comes over to you and yours. Unless you bowdy, you should support everything, because you'll only see people support people who look a certain way. Okay? Because you didn't say nothing when they were sterilizing the Ethiopians. Nobody said anything about that, right? When our homegirl on Zoom was telling us what they were doing to Ethiopian women, you didn't support that. How come you didn't protest for that? And please don't believe BLM is real. BLM, what's that other group? BLM, Antifa. Those are all governmental setup systems. You know that, right? They're all fake. The actual creators of BLM were all hung and killed. And then some lesbian women took over, dropping it like it's hot, having parties with the money from BLM. And now I don't even know who's running BLM. Well, stop. You know, if you want to, that's cool, but just don't get mad when you psyops, thank you. Don't get mad when you start getting residue overcoming to you, because now you are progenerating a karmic residue that's going to come to you. If you want to support Israel, Palestine, Africa, whatever you want to support, if you want to support it, go ahead. But just know what's going to come to you, because you're going to be bringing it. That's why you won't see me support the holographic president, the one who put his hand on the satanic Babel, that didn't have an inauguration. Why wouldn't I vote? Because if you vote for one, then you may take the residue on whatever that being does, because they aren't doing everything in front of you. They do things behind your back. Okay? So if you want to support people, absolutely. And if you are from anywhere in those regions, you have more of a say of what goes over there, and absolutely you should if that's what you deem to be. But I'm over here, I support families, women, mothers, and children that are innocent. And also, I also understand that if you're engaging or experiencing these things, you have accrued the kind of frequency that needs you to engage or to experience these things. There aren't any victims here. So if you're living in a world of tyranny, that's why I explained to you before, big up to Ali Bey, I was on a show years ago, I explained before, all these men that were being shot, all these brown men being shot like dogs on the street, these brown men, you don't know that probably they were the same racist lunars in an incarnation. So the lunars who are nasty bastards get reincarnated in Negro hoods, and they get hunted by the very beings that they used to be. So be careful taking a position, because you don't know what someone accrued karmically in another incarnation. This is a simulation, y'all. It's all an energy thing. It's all about the frequencies. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell you to check the mic. Always check the mic. Basically, do a check around you. If you're existing in a comfortable world where people are supportive and loving around you, that speaks volumes of who you are internally, because it's all an energetic thing. In a simulation, you progenerate your entire environment. So whatever you are, you basically are projecting that on the outside. Okay? So if you are a really kind person, you really live well with integrity, you are doing things that are in honor of your ancestors, your family, your children, your husband, yourself, your mother, if you're living in alignment, everything around you should show up cohesive. If you have any pushback or anything that's challenging, you have to work on self. Remember we talked about this? When you check the mic? Remember I said, if my hair is messy, right? If my hair is messy, do I fix this? Do I fix the screen with my image, the mirror? Or do I fix my hair and then my hair shows up fixed on my reflection? So you're not going to fix something outside of yourself and expect it to fix you. You fix you. You work on you. You deal with you, because everything is, if you accept that this is a simulation, everything is a projection of who and what you are, and you are projecting your whole reality. So if you're having pushback, you having people doing grimy things to you, you got to really check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay? Do some reflective work. Remember Michael Jackson said, I'm looking for the man in the mirror. I can't sing, y'all. I'm seeing if he changed his ways. Remember? And no message can be any clearer, because if you want to make a change, you gotta look at yourself and make the change. Right? Okay. Remember that? So you got to do that. So right now we're in reset, y'all. I know I can't sing, y'all. I there's certain things I can't do. Okay. All right. So if you're struggling with anything right now, it's reset time. I mean, it's the finals. I mean, if you didn't get it now, you just going to be recycled in the triple loop. Okay. You're going to come back in a simulation at the beginning. And I don't think it's going to be simulation Earth. It'll probably be simulation Mars, where it's like warlike. Because if you don't get it now and you just a warlike being, you're going to come back in another simulated reality where you're going to go through the loop 110 years 3 times, and you're going to have to learn it that way. Okay? This is a simulation. The simulation is ending. The data is very limited. The NPCs are leaving, so they're replacing people with cyborgs. So you don't know that there's empty space, right? And because you are existing in that way and your world is about to phase out, everything, all that you've known, anything that had any reminiscent, anything that gives you like feelings of nostalgia will leave, because they need you to reset. They got to reset your mind too, because in order for you to go back into the other world, you're going to have to forget everything that was here. When the other reset happens, if you survive, which I don't know who will and who won't, because the pole shift is something else. If you aren't extracted and wake up in your pod, and you go through the actual pole shift, which is going to be traumatic, horrific, just traumatizing. It's meant to wake people up. You will then go into the new world, and they aren't going to have. That's why you're seeing hieroglyphs on all of the pyramids, all the Mayan temples, because they do that. They need pictorials because they change your language. And then you got a rogue group of like satanic, like dark Kabbalists that hijack the system. So they know they got to go hiding under the ground during this reset time, because they got their own fresh bodies, they clone bodies, they make their own bioborgs, and they wait until after the whole pole shift, and then they resurface and they kind of progenerate the world that they want. And they're going to choose different languages. They're going to create a whole nother language. They're gonna create different languages that aren't reminiscent of languages that we remember. So you're actually lost again. So you're actually suffering from a form of amnesia. Amnesia. So you won't remember anything. So it's important for you, if you want to keep some records here after reset, if you want to dig them in a hole and just put pictures on it, that's the only thing that they'll remember. Most of the language will be pictorial, because that's the only way that our brain will pick it up. Okay, if it's language, they're going to make up their own form of languages next reset. Okay, so right now, big up to everybody who's in the house. Thank you for joining me on this conversation. Please put a handy dandy like in the video if you like this conversation and you like coming in the room and we enjoy this. So now the NPCs are the reset is upon us, the pole shift. So the fake holy war. There's nothing holy about the war, y'all. These bastards will make anything up, okay? They set everything up. Everything's a lie. It's all made up. It's the same person at the top. It's the Knight Templars, it's the Moors, it's the Jesuits. It's all the same. The Zionists, they're all the same. It's not even a lot of them either, because it's not a lot of them are living. They're working with the AI system, so they've learned how to manipulate and create the results of agendas that they want at this time. Okay, they get off. That's why they're sick. They've been here too many times. They're like vampires. They're like lifetime loopers. So they get off when people getting hurt, children getting hurt, and they feed off of that loosh. You know what I mean? So, the children, protect your children too, y'all. We need to protect all of our children. If you love your children right now, you shouldn't have them on social media like that. You should be careful about the people around them, because they're basically collecting bodies for food and storing them below, because they're going to be under the ground for a while. So just be careful with your children. Talk to your young ladies. Talk about the necessities of them watching themselves, making sure they aren't having sex with bioborgs, because they can really, their wands can literally deactivate their wombs. So if you have sex with a bioborg, his wand is activated to deactivate your womb. Okay, so wands matter. Real wands matter. He'll put that sucker in there like a plug, and he'll deactivate your womb. So then you start not getting your period. You start having all kinds of issues down there. What real wands matter? Sea stars. Okay, check the wand. I would check it put a metal detector on that sucker. I'm sorry. Wait, take the children out of here. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. Listen, y'all. Where's my water? I apologize. Please put a like on the video. Listen, my sense of humor is very different. Okay, I apologize. I go left, and I just keep it real. You gonna get the real from me, okay? I could edit my videos like 90% of people. I could do a whole makeup tutorial, a hair tutorial, but I prefer to just keep it real, okay? And please for you, I gotta just comment on that because you know I'm petty. I'm a little petty because I like to engage. I love when people poke a little bit because it just gives me a chance to talk about things that I won't get a chance to talk about. I'm just gonna sidebar for a minute. For anyone talking about me not being a non-native, where do you come from? Like, it's amazing to me that $5 Indians, people whose families came here and colonized the country, who don't even look native, have like 0.00000 point of native indigenous blood in them. That's why they're not thick. Big up to Alex who mentioned that. Like, you don't realize a lot of natives, because our endocrine system has been attacked, most native people bulk up because we're fed like GMO foods. We're not eating the same food. There's people coming on here talking about you're not native. Who are you? First of all, you're not even from the Americas. How you gonna call me not native? And my peoples has been here since the Americas were created. This is crazy to me. You $5 Indians are getting a little reckless out here. You don't want me to bring the archives, right? Because remember, I'm over 65% pure native indigenous Carib, right? With a nice little dash of Taino. How dare you? It's like a joke. Like you walk around not even looking native. What about you as native? That's why the indigenous don't even come to you in spirit. That's why the ancestors underneath the ground don't even contact you. That's why you can't walk into the other side, because you aren't native. You are the colonizers that paid for the nationality, and then you think that the natives don't recognize that. That's why you can't recognize me, because you're not from the neighborhood. You from another neighborhood. Stop it already. Don't come on my channel talking about you indigenous, because if you were indigenous, you would already know who I am and where I come from. The fact that you can't even recognize another indigenous lets me know you're not from here. Cut it out already. Still, go to another channel where they pretend like they're native. You know what I'm saying? They pretend like they're native and then they go to church every Sunday. Go to their channel. You know what I'm saying? When they walk around calling themselves Blue Owl and looking like nothing like an owl, looking nothing like the indigenous. Stop it already. I'm a little petty. I'm just sick and tired of you fake $5 Indians coming over here capping. Okay? You can get away with that with people who aren't native, but when you come to a native woman, remember, all tribes recognize me. My whole life. Every nation recognizes who I am. Do they recognize you, or did you have to pay? Or are you one of the hijackers who stay head of the tribes to make sure that you control and do everything? And also, I'm sick of you $5 Indians, because you're the ones paying for the natives to leave the country. You're the ones setting them up. That's why everybody's an alcoholic on the whole reservation. They're alcoholics, they're drug addicts, they're suffering from mental illness because of you. Stop it. You need to come for somebody else, okay? Don't play with me. Because remember, I know what I'm in and what kind of simulation. You don't want to poke the bear too much, okay? Because I know this is a simulation, and because I know it's a simulation, I can work with the simulation. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Go to another channel with the fake channelers. Go with their, oh my God, my name is White Owl. I feel the energies. You're so full of it. And you're the reason why you're going through the simulation. It's a recolonization. So really in itself, I'm unconcerned. I'm actually just gonna watch from the position of an observer, because there's a recolonization happening in the United States. So those who are the ancestors of the colonizers are now experiencing colonization because it's an energy. Okay, cut it out. Okay, go do something. Go play. Go play native. Go play Indian. Oh, go play Indian. Okay, stop it already. My ancestors don't even know who you are. When I go into Dreamscape, a real native has access to the port. They have access to the veil, beyond the veil. A lot of you just find, and then you don't even know you're $5 Indians, and then you come over here and capping on us saying you're from Africa. How would you know? How would you know? Okay? And shame on you. Our beautiful Africans don't need you to add another additive to them. Our beautiful Africans have many beautiful nations and many beautiful people who have many wonderful traditions, as we did in the Americas. But do know there were brown people all over the planet before you colonized it. Okay, so stop it already. Okay, there were brown Indigenous here in the Americas, brown Indigenous in the Polynesian Islands, the brown Indigenous in Europe, the brown Indigenous in Asia. Stop it. The reason you don't know is because probably you're some sort of like cyborg or a hybrid of some sort, and you've been created like a Cabbage Patch child, and you don't even know who's native because you're not native to anything. Cut it out. I'm sorry. Let me apologize, y'all. I apologize. I just went on a rant. I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt anyone's feeling. I just sometimes get a little petty because they come to my channel and they just poke me. And I just really have to realize they're just ignorant, and, you know, I should just leave them alone. Leave me alone. When you look in the book of the Indigenous, I look exactly the same way. Leave me alone, okay? Cabbage Patch Kitties. Oh, thank you for the donation, Joseph. Oh, your wand. Uh-oh, Joseph's talking about his wand. How come I can't say, hold it? My wine hasn't been near her magic box in over 2 years. Oh, ever since, wait. Hold on. Ever since she got oh, I'm sorry, Joseph. I don't want to get the MRA and from her cookie on my, oh. Joseph, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me behave myself. I'm sorry, Joseph. Thank you for the donation, Joseph. I agree with you, Joseph. I know a lot of sea stars who aren't vaxxed. Just FYI. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to break down a home. I'm just saying, you know, just relieve yourself from, you know, let me go on, y'all. I'm getting in trouble. Oh. Real wands matter. Yeah, just I would, if you listen, if you got vaxxed, that's your choice. That's fine. But I'm just saying, if you aren't, I don't, and I'm not saying anything bad about vaccines matter. Because, you know, YouTube, they always say like misinformation. I didn't say anything about vaccines, YouTube. I'm just mentioning the word vax. If you decide that you'd like to engage with someone who hasn't participated in the experimental bioweaponry that you call the Karachi kill shot, there are a lot of beautiful sea stars who are quite clean and clear in my neck of the woods. I'm just saying, you know, if you're conscious, they're conscious. If you're aware, they're aware. Yeah. Oh. Oh, pre-Sultan. Oh, Fleur, what happens when you have a child with an NPC? Is it possible? No, you can't have a child. In my awareness, there isn't any way you can have a child with NPC unless you're NPC. NPC, it's like me walking in a holodeck. I'll give you an example, like me walking in the holodeck and they're holographic beings. Even if I had sex with it, really good sex, really interesting sex, I wouldn't be able to birth a child because they aren't real, okay? If you are real and they're real, you can give birth to real beings. If they aren't real, if they're real, you produce a real child, a full child, that's a true child. That's a true child. But NPCs aren't able to have children with organic soul beings, as far as I know, unless they did something like remember that movie? What is it called? Demon Seed. Oh, that's a good one. Y'all get that movie. Watch Demon Seed. It's an old freaky movie. I like the old ones from like, I think it was from like the 70s or 80s, right? Watch that movie. Maybe, you know what I mean? That'll be interesting, okay? Sun stars, let me talk to our sun stars, because I really think, you know, a lot of you are becoming much more aware and much more, becoming a much more, like you're taking responsibility, and I honor that. I'm so pleased to see this in a simulation, because I really thought y'all were lost in the sauce, like especially with the whole fake brown community, with the whole fake consciousness, talking about they wanted to have multiple women when they could barely satisfy one. Like they were talking about they wanted to be polygamous, but they basically had women that were starving for affection and love and connectivity. Like that community is all falling apart. Thank you, Patricia. thank you. I appreciate that. They're all falling apart. So I'm grateful that you sun stars are waking up to your divinity and to your responsibility and coming and becoming more self-efficient, resisting the BBLs and the snuffleupagus eyelashes and the makeup tutorials, and you resisting it. I really appreciate that. I think you are starting to know that you are special and you want to be with someone who has that same amount of integrity. And that's a beautiful thing. So even the sun star is saying he'd like to be with someone who has good decision making, who wouldn't engage with something that would change their genetics and ruin them for anything. Hey, walk with the ancestors. Hey, C-Star, how you doing? Miss Dean. So I'm grateful, sun stars, that you're doing that. I think it's beautiful. I support your healthy journey and your taking self, what is it called? Like when you, taking responsibility for what you do. It's beautiful. And there's a lot of beautiful sea stars that are healthy. They steam their yoni. They aren't sleeping with wands of mass destruction. They actually honor. They have self-preservation. So maybe when you start changing yourself, you start emitting this frequency in your pheromones, so you attract those beautiful young sea stars, because I know them. There's a lot of them. They're so beautiful. Self-preservation. Thank you, Deborah Zimmerman. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, there's a lot of beautiful sun stars and sea stars now. I'm starting to see you. It's beautiful. Jesse, stop saying you need some milk. That's being disrespectful. Listen, there isn't anything wrong with about a woman who's lactating. Okay, stop breast shaming. Okay, you're gonna have me go on another rampage. Let me explain something, y'all. If you haven't seen a really organic woman with real breasts, I don't know what planet you're living on. Maybe you're a simulation. Women have breasts, and you know our breasts are meant to feed our babies, right? Milk shaming is disgusting. Why don't you say, well, God darn it, FleurBrun is an organic woman who has a lactating breast, who loves her babies, who loves children. What's wrong with you? Like, I don't even know what planet you're coming with. What, are you hanging around with girls who don't breastfeed their children? Like, really? Come on now, like, stop it already. Some of you actually should have women. Maybe you don't have women in your, maybe your mother didn't breastfeed you. That could be the issue, right? It's very sad. No, it's like, no, it's women too. It's like, what is wrong? I don't even show my nipples. What is wrong with these people? I haven't ever shown, I'm busty. And there's anything wrong with that. I've been pregnant before. I've had milk in my breast. What is wrong with that? Like, I think that is so real. You would prefer to get with a woman who has a whole fake butt, who goes and has people stick rods in her behind, puts all kinds of fat and artificial intelligence in her butt. You don't even know she's like got zoom, like she's got zoom lens in her behind, like in her anal cavity. Like, you don't even know. You would prefer to have a woman do things like that, or can't even come on without having a face full of makeup. But a woman who's just sitting here organically doesn't even show her nipples, because my breasts are just bigger. If a woman was smaller, you would just see less cleavage. But I'm not showing a nipple. When I start showing you my nipple, then having a complaint. I'm sorry, y'all. Real breasts matter. Breast milk matters. My God. We're so involved in artificial intelligence that you just would demonize a real organic woman and preference. You got these women who you don't even know who they are, and when you wake up, you shocked. Like, who are you? She's like, hey, my name is Dan. You don't even know. You would sleep with a woman that's a man because you don't even know the difference between a real woman and not. Shame on you. Big up to all the breastfeeding mothers in the house. You are, let me tell you how beautiful you are, you wonderful beings. You are so wonderful. Living in a time where women would prefer to give milk from a can that's called formula from a diabolical mad scientist that had worms all in the formula. Let me give a shout out to you, breastfeeding beautiful mommies. You're so amazing. I am so happy to know you and know that you decided to take your biological imperative of being able to produce healthy, organic, heirloom milk and feed your beautiful babies. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think I would encourage you to, and to share that with other women and tell them how fabulous your children will be healthy, how they won't have ear infections, they won't be fed by the diabolical demons that are making formula with all kinds of metals and worms and parasites and all kinds of low frequency dairy products from a cow that's not meant to feed a child. I give you honor, breastfeeding mothers. Keep it up. Keep it up. And don't let anyone, let me be your example. Let your breasts be free and be happy to be as you are. Whether they're little, big, small, whatever. Real breasts matter. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to go off because, come on now. And gentlemen, stop it, okay? Just be grateful that you have a woman who talks on here, who doesn't decide to change and alter her body. I could be taking, what is that called? Ozempic? I could be taking Ozempic, all sucked in, dehydrated, skinny, looking like the bomb, looking like I got 50 BBLs, but I decide to just come organic and be the weight that I'm supposed to be, have my body in the same form. Just, it is what it is, okay? If you can get in with an Ozempic woman, go ahead and get with her, okay? Her liver's gonna fall out in like about 60 days, but if that's what you want, it is what it is. All right, let me stop, y'all. I'm being petty. I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize. I just, sometimes I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. That wasn't very nice. Please don't tell my mother that. I didn't mean to do that. No, I'm sorry. It's not very nice. It's not very nice. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. Okay? Okay? I'm sorry. Okay? I'm gonna go run a lap after this. I apologize. Okay, so let's go into the NPCs and the reality changing. We're about to go through a pole shift. We got a fake religious war going on underway right now. Do know that if you are trying to stay out of this whole projected false war, please know that there's certain things you have to do. You have to remain neutral and 0 point to make sure you aren't taking any karmic debt. I probably offended like 40 people in here. I'm sorry. You have to remain neutral and 0 point. You have to make sure that you are staying in your frequency that's of a higher level, because remember, anytime you're in a simulated world, you generate an energy. You basically are projecting an energy out here. So that energy will also attract what that is to you. So if you're constantly talking about low frequency things, you're constantly taking a strong stance in something that's warlike, or talking about murders, or watching children that are being hurt on television, you're pulling yourself into that frequency, and you're basically triggering, you're bouncing that back at you. It's very important for you to stay neutral in this simulation. 0 point is where you want to be, because if you go too far right or left, it's like a pendulum. If you go too far right, what happens on a pendulum? You go too far right, the swing is hard to the left, right? So the same as if you go too far left, the swing will be harder. But if you stay somewhere in the neutral position, it's okay to observe and have a level of compassion. There isn't any way that I would say to you that if you could see something that's hurtful to a child or hurts a person, that you shouldn't have some level of compassion or concern for that. It's like, if I see any child, it doesn't matter if the child is lunar, light with blue eyes, it doesn't matter if the child has red hair, blonde hair, it doesn't matter if the child has beautiful dark skin, it doesn't matter if the child looks shorter, tall, that child, if I see them in front of me and they're being harmed, I'm going to protect them. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter if they're a simulated child, doesn't matter if they're an organic child, I don't care if they're a cyborg child. If I see a child that's being harmed in front of me, it is my imperative directive as a female, as a mother, to protect that child. That's just me. So that in itself, that's where I almost feel like in the simulation, in the video game, if you're presented with something like that, it means for you to engage. Like if you play a video game, where are our video game players, right? Our video game players who like to play video games. You know, it's like in a video game, when it's time for you to engage, something presents itself to you. So that means that once you have a simulated a situation show up, it's triggering you for you to maybe react or to to engage. But it could be a test too, because maybe there were things that you had going on with you that were supposed to be tests to who you are. Maybe you grew, you evolved. So in your evolvement, you now are being tested to see what your response would be to a certain simulated circumstance, right? So it's important for you, if you're in a situation where you're seeing something and it's presented to you first on, it is for you to engage. And be careful trying to ignore things, because that could be the loop in your life. Because if you keep getting a same program going over and over again, it could be different people. Like you could get a program that constantly goes in a reciprocal pattern, and that is because you haven't learned or you haven't done something to make the loop end. It's important for you to confront the boogeyman in your life, because that could be the very thing keeping you at a standstill and disallowing you from getting outside of that loop, okay? And also stop being predictable. If you're doing things constantly, like what did they say? Madness or craziness is doing something over and over again and expecting a different response or a different result. It's very important for you that if something isn't working in life, and if you're constantly getting the same kind of feedback, it's important for you to change the direction, or maybe switch up something that allows for a different result. It's very important. This is a simulation, but it's also a video game. If you see it as a video game, this is actually quite fun, because then you can basically take full command that everything in here. And then when you get to a certain point, there are points in video games when you're allowed, you gain these tools because you've earned a certain level. So when you've kind of overcome a level, or you've gone past a certain point where you're in another stage of the video game, you'll get times when you've been able to accrue certain types of tools or things that will help you on the next stage of the video game. So then all of a sudden you get all these access to, like, I don't know, like all these herbs, like maybe you get all these new tinctures, you have maybe some fiat or abundance comes to you, and now you have access to live somewhere that's more tropical. Maybe it was important for you in that first part of the video game to experience geographical differences, bombardment of your body, that was to allow you to learn about your body and know that maybe that type of terrain isn't good for you. So you were living somewhere that was challenging your biological directive to alert you to knowing that you need a change of environment that's more cohesive for you. So then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, this isn't right for me. I realize that, oh, I should be living somewhere by the beach. Maybe I need to get more of that ionic energy. Maybe I need more of that healthy lung, you know, something to heal my lungs, which lungs has to do with like dealing with loss, and dealing with forms of like when you're mourning, like someone who's lost someone. So maybe you need to clear. So maybe going to the beach and living somewhere. So then all of a sudden you get this offer from a job like, hey, FleurBrun, we have this amazing new position. Only you can do it. You were highly recommended. We'll pay for your relocation and everything. You know what? You could just come and start next week. Then that's the abundance, because now you've overcome something. Now you've maybe became aware of something, and now the video game will give you a placement to go outside to do the healing. So now you have these new tools and this new arena, and now you're going to be there. Same when you're on the beach. Maybe it's meant for you to go somewhere in the forest. Maybe it's meant for you to go somewhere on highland or lowland. Maybe it's meant for you to go somewhere you meet another character in the NPC that's going to teach you something about yourself. It's very important for you to pay attention to the directives that happen in the video game. If you take this life as a video game, whether you accept my position of saying that this is a holographic experience or not, doesn't matter. Life in itself is like a video game. So knowing the rules and knowing the perks of being self-aware is always the bomb.com. Now know that the simulation is about to go buck wild. We're going in this so-called religious, this holy war, which has happened every single world war. It is a program, okay? So you already know what happens in this program. You already know, you can go and read history books and already know what's coming right now. Try to disengage, try to make sure you aren't getting involved with any side, have a level of compassion and keep it moving, okay? And also because we're going into the dragon year, which is the Asian dragon year, the earth dragon, remember the concept of the serpent is coming the year after. We're going to go through this Kundalini rising. So because we have the twin energy, you shouldn't be surprised that relationships are going to break up if they haven't already. So what happened, I shouldn't say break up, right? And it's just what I think will happen. So take this with a grain of salt. It's just my knowing. Is that next year in 2024, which is an 8, which is the serpent, it's that Kundalini energy, right? It's like this, right? It's the 8. It's the infinity, right? That brings with it an energy of merging with the one you started in the simulation with. If you are one of the 144 and you came into the simulation, you came in with partners. Now we did the whole 12 times 12 is 144. Big up to M and Alex, who we were going off ham on the last Zoom. That's the 12 times 12, and it's 12 teams. That's why there's 12 tribes. That's why there's 12 hours. Everything is about the 12s because it's literally the different teams. And that's why they talk about the 12 tribes of Sheba, the 12 tribes of Judah. Those are all the different teams that came out into the simulation, and they broke out in different teams. And what happens in those different teams is that they went 2s and 2s. So there's like there's like six. That's why it's see, as soon as I look at, wow, hold on. there's 6 times 2. 6 times 2. So it's 6 sets of 2s, right? Yeah, 6 sets of 2s. Just get with me here. It's in my face. So we have the 12 tribes. Those are the 12 tribes, but they're actually 12 groups. This is all my just overstanding, y'all. So just stay with me right now. So there's 12 sets, and those are the ones who came out into the simulation from the ship, Nibiru. There are other ships. Nibiru isn't the only one. Personally, I know that Nibiru is the real Earth. The Earth that has been created here is a simulation. It's been terraformed to look like Nibiru. This whole terraformed Earth that we live in, this is all Earth. Jupiter is Nibiru. Jupiter, that's why we're talking about the Jews. The Jews are Jupiter, okay? The Jews worship Saturn, right? The Saturn, the rings of Saturn. Okay, so Jupiter, the Jews, which, represented, actually that's my planet. I'm a triple Sag, which is Jupiter is my planet, the most expansive planet. Jupiter is also Nibiru. It's one and the same. Now, you don't have to accept this. This is what I know. You can also give your opinion at the end of the video. I would love to hear what you know. And once we came into the simulation from our pods, and I just woke up in the pods. Some of you know about it. Big up to the zombies, the weirbies, where I talked about waking up in the pod. I just woke up in the pod last week. The same day that Brother Panic, they announced him transitioning, even though I know he had transitioned before. The same day is when I had woke up in the pod, and I'll talk about that on another video. Or tonight on Zoom, we'll talk about it again. I think you guys already know. But on Nibiru, we were put in our pods, and it's 12. It's 12. It's 12 sets of 12. So it's 144. We were put in pods, and when we got out of our pods into this projected reality, when we projected ourselves into biological entities here in the simulation, we went out with our group. So we have 12 groups. That's why they talk about the 12 tribes spread all over the earth. It's a simulation, so we're spread all over because we were going here to engage for whatever reasons, okay? And now as we're going back to 0 point, we're coming back and we're meeting our twins. It's not your twins, it's your partner. It's your partners you came out into the simulation with. So right now, during this whole year, next year, you're literally going to meet your partner that you came into the simulation with. That's that whole twinning energy. It's not really twins, it's your partner who you came in with. So you shouldn't be surprised that your relationships, if you're in one and it isn't the person you came in here with, it might end. That's just my personal opinion. It's probably going to end that relationship because you're supposed to get back with your partners. The 12 tribes, the Sheba, the whole 12, everything, the 12, because we got to get back to the 13th. The 13th is the 0 point, is the zenith. Okay, so we have to get back. So you're going to meet your partners that you entered into the game with, the simulation with. So don't be shocked that next year, because I think that the simulation ends in 2025 is the pole shift. That's my personal opinion. Okay, and you can kind of see it with as fast as they're doing things in a simulation. So you meet your partner next year because it's an 8, because it's the Kundalini. It's kind of like the Kundalini rising is just you coming back into your full mind, waking up out of the simulation. Okay. So next year is 2024. It's the year of the dragon. It's the year of the earth dragon. So it's probably that emerald energy. Big up to Brother Panic, who talked about, the Emerald City. We always talk about the Emerald City. And when we look at the yellow grid road, the yellow grid is what surrounds us in this hologram. If you could see it, you can usually see it. Like when you wake up, you'll see the yellow grid. It looks like a honeycomb. And then you're supposed to follow that to the Emerald City. So the first green dragon, big up to no one who came in, it will show up next year. So you most likely will see your twin. And your twin isn't what you think it is. It's literally an opposite equal end of you. So if you represent, and that's why they're trying to, as soon as I talk about twin flames, it's crazy. As soon as I talk about twins, it shows up. You hear us? Okay, let me take a break. Okay, hold on. And that's why, pods, fish swim in pods. People ask me where the pods are underneath the water. We're underneath Antarctica right now. We're sleeping in these pods, a yellow submarine. Big up to the one who shared a yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine by the Beatles. Thank you for that. And the Beatles sang that song. Big up to Brother Panic, who brought up Beetlejuice, y'all. Beetlejuice implodes. That's when the pole shift, that's when the reset happens. That's also the yellow submarine. We're under it in the pods. We're sleeping in these pods. And then we wake up in Nibiru, which is the real Earth, which is Jupiter. Okay, hold on. Let me take a break. Please put a like on the video if you're up for the shenanigans today. We all live in a yellow submarine, Watch the video. Thank you to the Seastar who shared it with me. I forgot about the video. I never really watched it. But if you watch the Beatles video, y'all, in the yellow submarine, y'all, talk about the simulation reveal. Holy cow. Anyway, and why is it holy cow? Okay? I might have to. How? You hear them? Okay. But it's so quiet, you can hear everyone talking outside. They are. You should. Okay. Okay, so we're living in pods. We're being taken care of. And when I woke up on the ship, should I do a video separate to that? When I woke up again I woke up on Nibiru again. I talk about waking up on a ship. I'm always getting up on a ship, but I woke up on a ship and I saw my mate. And also, maybe I should share this with you. Do you guys want me to share this with you? It's up to you. You want me to share it? Because I don't want to diverge. Is it okay if I share it? Put a 13 if you want me to share it, because I don't have to. Okay? Okay. I was saying to another sea star that I said, you know, I have a specific type that I like. I've always liked a certain type, and I didn't know why. Like, it was a type, and you always think your type is started, maybe your type cast. You know, there's a type cast that people have. So I had a type, and I always think, why did I like this certain type? So when I woke up on Nibiru, the ship, in my pod, in my room, my mate was sleeping next to my pod to protect my pod, because on the ship, on the west wing of the ship, there was a flood. So one of the people who's head of I assume they take care of a lot of the things on the ship. They were talking. Well, okay, let me slow down, because I'm telling you how I woke up on a pod, and this is like a dive, because sometimes I go off topic a little bit. So let me go here. I woke up on a ship on Nibiru. Again, many of you know I wake up sometimes on there. Sometimes it's because something I do here triggers me to wake up in my pod. So I woke up and my mate was sleeping next to my pod. And what's crazy about it, y'all? The reason why I have a typecast here in the simulation is because my mate is the progenitor of all the types I make in the simulation. So all of the males that I'm attracted to in the simulation, it's because of him. So I created, and remember all back in the days when the sea stars used to say to you they had a spiritual, like they had a ghost husband, and he wasn't allowing them to have like a mate here because they had a marriage over there. I kind of understand why they thought that, but it was deeper. It's because outside of the simulation, we have partnerships and marriages or relationships. And when we have them, we basically project them into this simulation reality to keep to connect to them. So it's like odd, because when I woke up, he was sleeping next to my pod to make sure my pod was safe. And he is why all the males in this reality, in this hologram, look like him, because I love this person, this being outside of here, and everything I project in here is him. It's so interesting. So I woke up, and when I woke up and I had to get dressed, when you wake up in your pod, you're going to be naked. Okay. So you wake up naked. I look basically facially the same. I'm just more athletic. Just my body is a thinner form. I think I projected myself this way because I think outside of this hologram, I want it to be like really busty because I'm very athletic looking. I'm not as feminine looking physically. Face-wise, I look the same. So it's interesting that I projected myself in this reality more feminine, like hyper feminine, like busty. So there, I'm more athletic looking, same face, same kind of thing, but everything else. It's interesting though what you'll do. You kind of, and the closer we get to waking up, you're going to look more like you do outside the simulation. Okay. So it's interesting when you wake up in your pod, you're naked. So there's like this little, it's like a little thing it was like on a table in my room. And I woke up my pod. I always assumed the pods were going to be in a big space with everybody else. No, my pod was in my room. When I woke up, I had a little flat round thing. Like it had a cover on it, like a round dome on top. It was like a little flat container. And I opened it up and I was naked. I took a little bit of this goo. It looks like almost like a white jelly glue. I just took a little bit and put it in my hand, and it projected clothing like a uniform on me. So I opened it up, and basically that goo projected an outfit on me, my uniform. So it's like a jelly, like a little jelly. And I didn't take a lot. I just took a little bit, and it shot this energy, and it created a whole uniform on me. Okay. And then when I woke up and I went to go give everything that I needed to tell, I considered her to be maybe like a director. I don't know. She had white hair. I went to go sit down. It's almost like I knew what to do. I went to go sit down with this woman, and for her to talk she was calling somebody. She had to call somebody to talk to them. She used her mind, but when she called them, her whole light shot out. Like it was like bright white light. So she's calling somebody telepathically somewhere else, and she's calling them. But when she calls them, her light around her, it's like an aura, like a light brightened up. as she's talking to them. And as she's talking to them, I don't hear it, but she's talking to them in her mind. But as she's talking to them, her light around her is like pulsating, like with whatever she's saying, it's like moving with her movement of her thought sound, right? And then when she's done talking to them, basically the light around her goes dim. It goes away. Okay, so that's how they talk, like telephones. What we perceive to be telephones, like archaically, like telephones, they talk with like telepathically, and they can call people from a distance, but her light around her like brightened up. And there was something else that happened. I can't bring it up here because it's very controversial. You can listen to it later. Maybe I'll ever share it again. But they were getting ready for everyone to wake up in their pods. But what she did tell me is that the West Wing of the ship had a flood and they lost people in those pods. So meaning that when people died over in those pods, there were a couple pods that were flooded. So she said the West Wing, there was a flood. And it made me think that all of the things that are happening in the West, maybe that's what's happening, like what happens on the ship happens here. So whatever happens on the ship, we will see like it trickle down into our reality. So when she said that the West Wing had flooded out and they lost pods, that means that the bodies in the pods were lost as well. So it could mean while we have a large amount of transitions happen or flooding. And one of the other sea stars also woke up on the ship, but she woke up in the water and they were trying to clear the water out of the West Wing of Nibiru. Okay, so I'll just share that to say so on. And also, maybe I shouldn't share it. There's something controversial. I won't share it now, but maybe some of the Zombies already know. But there's something else is why they're promoting a certain kind of look here. I saw on the ship. It was somebody who had something. I don't want to be controversial like that. I don't know if I should say it, but there's a reason why they're promoting for certain things here. It's because on the ship, they exist in that way. So anyway, I don't want to disturb your brains. I don't want to disturb your brains. It'll disturb your brains. You want me to share it? You sure? I don't want to ruin your peace of mind because it didn't bother it. I think I knew what that was, but I've never. We can handle it. Please put a like on the video. I'll do it if, okay, fair enough. I'll do it if you put likes on my video. Let's see. I'll do it. But it's going to disturb you. I don't know if I should tell you though. Okay. All right. It won't be surprising? Okay. Okay, so when I woke up, okay, so put a like on the video and I'll share it. That's fair exchange, right? If I give information, I gotta tell you. Because it's really, I don't know if it's good for you to hear it. Like, maybe I shouldn't judge how I should just share it, right? Okay? All right, so on the ship when I woke up in my pod with my mate who was on the floor, he was waiting. And now I understand he was waiting next to my pod because the other ones flooded out. So he was protecting my pod. I woke up, but there was another female in there that woke up too. So she woke up. And remember, when you wake up out of the pod, you're naked. But she was a female. She was a fair-skinned female, kind of shortish hair, very angular features. But she had balls and a penis. It's gonna mess with your mind. That's what I'm telling you. She had balls and a penis, y'all. She actually had, she was a female that was a female just the way, and she had a penis and balls. No, she wasn't a trans woman. No. And that's what's crazy because I think why there's such a push for transsexualism, is it sexual? Transsexual? No, is it trans people? Is because in that world, there are women that have penises and balls. And she wasn't a man. She wasn't a man. She was a woman who had a penis and balls. She was very petite. She was a woman. It's not like when trans people, they look like men and they try to alter themselves. But in that world, she actually was naked and she had a penis and a balls. And now I understand all those stories that they said to us that we used to look like that back in the days. Remember they said women were giving birth through parthenogenesis? They used to say that. And I never understood. I knew I felt that way. But when you actually see it in person, you think to yourself, oh my God, that's why all of this inside the simulation, you're seeing this constant push for men to try to be them. But she was a female. There wasn't anything masculine about her other than her balls and her penis. So I didn't want to share it with you because I wasn't trying to mess with your peace of mind, because in it itself, I guess the reason why you're seeing that showing up, because as we get closer to the end of the simulation, we have to go back to who we are inside the pods. So that's probably why they're pushing for that, because inside the pods, those very people who are probably trying to trans themselves, they're probably that in the pod. She was a whole woman with a whole ball and penis. I just, I don't want to share that. It's because I know out of context, it can mess with you. So, but if it isn't messing with your peace of mind, now you can understand that everything that happens outside of the simulation is who we are organically. And we project aspects of who we are outside the firmament, in the pod, in here. So that's why they're pushing for it, because I think there's a lot more of her. I didn't know her personally. I don't know, maybe I do, but she woke up and she was naked too, and I just looked. I just made sure it wasn't hard. I know, I'm perverted there too. Like, I'm not perverted, but I just looked to make sure she wasn't erect. I don't know. So I just looked at it and I looked a while. I was like, she has balls and a penis. And I looked and it was a real penis and balls. So you would have looked too. I just looked at it and I just want to make sure it wasn't erect because I didn't have clothes on yet. I had to go get my thing with the little jelly to get my clothing on. I just want to make sure nothing was going to be stuck in me without my consent. I'm just saying, y'all. I don't know if you like my rawness. I just keep it real. I mean, no, I wasn't dreaming. I was on a ship. There's a difference between, remember, some of you are newer to me. Let me remind you that my father got me a book when I was 13 or 12. I never remember it was 12 or 13. My mom said I was 12, but I think I was 13, and it was about being lucidity and dreams. So from 12 and 13, my dad was so cool. He worked on Water Street and Wall Street. Big up to my daddy. I love my father. I love my father and my mom. He bought me this book. So from 12 and 13, I had mastered the art of lucidity and dream state. So just letting you know. And then outside of that, I'm able to travel. Remember, I'm a contactee. I don't know if many of you know me that long. So some of you know me for many years. So I don't know who's coming to me. So maybe you're newer to me. I'm a contactee. I've always been in contact with others outside the simulation. I'm an Andromedan, so I've always been in contact. Actually, there's one day I'm going to interview my mom. My mom is really funny. She'll talk about those things when I was young. Because if you hear it from the family members, it's really interesting when you hear their take on who I was. So I've always been in contact. So from then, I know when it's a dream. And when you're in dream state, it's a different scenario than when you're actually in an etheric state or you're in astral. There's big differences between them. When you wake up on the ship, you're in a real body. You're in real time. There isn't this holographic, hazy, dreamlike state, okay? So I woke up on the ship. I'm a real being on a real ship, okay? So it isn't a dream. I'm not channeling. I'm very vetted in that. So it's when I wake up on the ship every once in a while. You've heard the stories over the years. It's great because I can share things with you from outside the simulation. And because of that, I know when I'm up on the ship and when it's a dream. I rarely dream in the way that most people do because I'm always super duper lucid. So the only time I lose my lucidity is when I'm really sick. And then when I'm sick, I do weird things like I'll go into the astral. Like I'll do things in an unconscious way when I'm not feeling well. So if I'm not feeling well, I won't be lucid in a way that it's concrete. I'll do things like in an unconscious way, just going outside doing things that I normally wouldn't do in my lucid state. So no, I'm very unconscious. And how you test if you know where you are is you always pinch yourself. That's a tip that I gave the Zombies last time. If you want to know if you're in the simulation, you can pinch yourself. If you're in dream state, when you pinch yourself, you got to be lucid, because you won't know to do this if you don't know how to do lucid, if you haven't trained yourself to be lucid in your dream state. When you're in lucid state, I always tell you to look at yourself in the mirror, because you can see your true form. Some of you haven't done that yet. It's important for you to do that so you're not shocked. Some of you aren't going to come in human form outside the simulation. Some of you are like lion type beings, so you remember being a lion. Some of you look like some sort of octopus. You have different forms, you have different colors, like green, blue, yellow. You have different states. So you'll look at yourself and you'll see your true form. Okay? That's when you master lucidity. And also I tell you to pinch yourself. If you pinch yourself and you're in dream, it will be numb. That's how you know you're in dream state. So you'll pinch yourself and you'll be numb. When you're in a reality that's real outside the simulation, when you pinch yourself, you will feel the ouch. Just like here. So when you pinch yourself here, you feel ouch, right? You feel it. When you wake up on the ship outside the simulation, when you pinch yourself, you feel that same thing. That's how I know where I am at all times. Okay? This is for those who were for the back of the room who are not used to me. If you're new to me, this is FleurBrun. You know, the artificial intelligence UFO community doesn't want you to meet me because they're haters, and a lot of them are fake. A lot of them are just fakers, and they just create false narratives in the UFO community because it makes them a lot of money. Okay, so they've created a whole false, I'm going on the base, I'm going on the moon and blowing up. But those are people who, and a lot of them, it may not even be fake. They may just be high. So basically they're so high on drugs. So that's why it's an imagination thing. So a lot of them get high. A lot of these people who go to the UFO community are all high. They do drugs all day. They are alcoholics. How could you trust someone saying they have an experience if all they do is drugs and alcohol? Okay. If someone is truly an experiencer, drugs and alcohol isn't something they would want to do, because they're so aware, they don't need to do it. So they don't even want more of that because it's already so much. So that's why I'm not disrespecting them, but they're just haters. Don't be mad at me because I'm an authentic being outside the firmament. Y'all are capping. You know what I'm saying? And then but I will say this, as much as I say the majority of the UFO community that creates all these conferences, they're fakers. The people who go to the conferences, let me, y'all, as much as I give you those, I got to tell you the truth. Those who attend the conferences, a lot of those people are contactees. That's why they're attracted to that kind of genre. That's why they want to go there, because they're having these experiences and they want to kind of see and be around people who they deem to be in those experiences. So as much as I say the people who are giving these, majority and not all, majority of people who are holding these so-called UFO, like first of all, I think David Icke is some sort of clone. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, I think he's some sort of clone, like some sort of like a hybrid clone that was progenerated. So I think he's a clone. So I don't want to say he's a contactee or not because he's a clone. Then with Corey Good, I think he's some sort of like, I think his experiences, some of them are legit, but he does a lot of drugs, allegedly. So, you know, I think because of that, I can't trust the things that come out of his mouth. I wouldn't trust anybody who says they're having experiences, because what happens is when you fire up your brain and you do drugs, it'll give you illusions. Is because you're burning your brain. You're basically firing up your synapses. So it will give you imagery based on you burning out your brain. The best experiences you will ever meet are people that are organically and anybody who's having contact doesn't have tattoos. If beings are having contact, they haven't any tattoos. Most of them are drug-free. I'm not saying all, but the beings outside the firmament, if there are beings coming in here, they're not messing with people because the tattoos that people got have sentient black goo. So anything contacting them, if they're inside the firmament and they have tattoos, if they're having what they perceive to be contact, it's most likely from governmental entities that are placating themselves as aliens. If they are truly contactees, they wouldn't have tattoos. Contactees couldn't have tattoos because they wouldn't be contactees. The beings outside wouldn't contact people who have tracers on them. Okay? That's all. And that's not cap. That's a fact. Anything high wouldn't be able to contact something so low. And when you put black goo in you, it basically is it has nanites in it, and nanites is a form of tracking. So they wouldn't mess with it. That even when you saw the Matrix, the first thing they wanted to do is what they do? They put that thing in his belly button to suck out the what? The nano. The nano looked like a bug, right? Remember it was in Neo's belly button? Okay? So they aren't trying to mess with you when you have nanites in you because you got the AI system that are spying on the contact. So that's why, and that's why you'll see, I told you, the number one person being contacted by others outside the firmament are really religious women. And like I said, I think it's because they live so clean. I think they live clean. I think they do very chaste things. I think they're under mind control, but because of their behavior, they're drug free. They just live, they take care of their family. And I'm talking about all types of religious women. I'm not talking about just Christians. I'm talking about Muslim religious women. I'm talking about women that are Jewish religious women. I'm talking about like Mormons that are religious women. I'm talking about those Buddhist women. They're contacted more because they live cleaner lives. That's why I think it is. I could be wrong, but a lot of them are having contact. Like I said, I always thought the mind control was something, but because it's a frequency thing, these women are higher in integrity with their bodies and with their soul essence. So even though they're stuck in some sort of social, and the religious women don't think it's a contact. They think it's like Buddha. They think it's Muhammad. They think it's Jehovah. They think it's something else. And how you know, y'all, I vetted this out over the year. If you talk to them, talk to these women. They're having contact, but they'll think it's like the Holy Spirit. They think it's like angels. They think it's like guardians. They think it's something else other than what it is. That's the only thing. It's sad to have contact and not know what it is. But yeah, the number one being out here is, and let me tell you, y'all, 99% of the time, if something is contacting beings here from outside the firmament, they're only contacting females. That's why I don't believe any male who says he's in contact with other beings. He's in contact with beings, but they're most likely progenitors inside the simulation that are AI based. That's why a lot of them are grays. A lot of them grays. I wouldn't trust anyone who's in contact with a gray. When someone tells me they're seeing grays in their room, I don't mess with them because I already know the government that's their handler. Gray people, the government's their handler. So if they're saying they've seen a gray, I already know that they're governmentally instituted. They're tethered by the government. Grays are progenerated from inside the firmament from Oh my God. Hello. Can you hear me? No? Okay, put a 13 if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No? 13? Yes? Can you hear me? Oh, they mess with my feed. As soon as I said that, y'all, okay. We hit the nose on it. We hit the nail on the thing. They don't like when I share that with you. Okay, about the grays. Grays, how many of them have you? Grays, ones you can't depend on. Grays, I'm such an antagonizer. Ones you keep to see. Yeah, like every time you see people who have contact with grays, it's all governmental. I've seen it over the years. And those are the indications. If you want to know people who are in contact, they aren't people who are in contact with higher beings. Let's say this. Because they can be in contact with beings that are inside the firmament. They are drug-free. They aren't doing drugs. Drugs will take you into certain realms. It opens up, it's like a firewall. Your firewall opens. But anything that has a compromising effect on your body isn't high. It is low, okay? Because it has to stay within the firmament. Drugs, alcohol, all those things are carnal. Those are all things that are underneath the dome. Okay, things beyond the dome need a clear receptacle. And also you can see, because when you have levels of contact, it'll cause your body to do certain things. Okay, so just be careful with people who have contact with grays. I don't mess with them. As soon as they say they're in contact with grays, I know the government is that they're tethered to the government. I don't know. It doesn't matter which government. It's all governmental. Okay, and I wouldn't mess with anybody doing heavy psychedelic drugs and mushrooms, because someone cursed me out the day. Oh, you're fat. That as soon as I mentioned drugs, oh, you're fat. Listen, my what the fat steerage I have, the stockpile of fat steerage is much healthier than any drug you're putting in your system. And if you're doing a drug to be elevated, it means that you weren't even in alignment to be elevated naturally. So if you have to do basic drugs to be elevated, I have that indicative, I have it innately, okay? So you trying to be me, but don't be mad. Okay, I just said drugs aren't healthy for you to do, especially regularly every day. Anything that alters your mindset and alters your brain frequency isn't healthy for you. I know that the whole social media wants you to do mushrooms, because all those people who have to do mushrooms, let them sit amongst people who don't have to do drugs to be able to go to the other side. That's why a lot of your so-called, because they'll be like, oh, all the native people were drug addicts. The only reason they could contact because they were too carnal. Only time they could contact other beings is when they were high. The person that you want to get in contact with is someone who's clean. The people who fast. If you want to really get with somebody who's really super duper connected to the outside or a psychic, go to somebody who fasts in order to elevate. They stop eating and doing things that are carnal. You reach a higher climax of touching things outside the firmament. Okay? Anything that is earth-based, any herb, any weed, any drug, it's all carnally underneath the firmament. It doesn't mean I'm not saying it's all negative. If it heals you, you do things. We all, listen, some of you do tinctures, whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about contact with beings outside the firmament. Those things within the firmament, they're going to use herbal bases because that's underneath the firmament. Those are herbs that exist here. Anytime you want something higher, you got to take out all the drugs, including food and a lot of times low frequency water. Those things bind you here. Okay, so take out the carnal, and that will allow you to have things connected to you higher. Okay, if you have to take something to reach a climax or to touch something else, another realm, it means you aren't qualified. Because if you're qualified, your bio suit, your earth suit would be able to do that naturally. And usually how you basically activate is you got to take out all the drugs like food, coffee, it's just like that. That's why fasting, when I fast, I have so much more elevation. Okay. So what someone has to do with doing like ayahuasca or peyote or whatever they do, you can just do without eating anything, because food is a drug. Take out all the carnal things, stop having sex and so on, and basically it'll elevate you. Because this is your biosuit. Your biosuit has all the capability of accessing point references, especially if you aren't capped with your DNA. You can access portals, different things like that. But you got to take out all the carnal things like liquor, drugs, everything. Mushroom. I don't care if it's mushrooms have a whole different kingdom. Do you see the mushroom kingdom? Listen, the elemental realm is beautiful, but they have a kingdom. You ever see the mushrooms? They're unicellular, right? They're unicellular. They also they have a collective consciousness, right? So one mushroom can access all the different realms that all the mushrooms have, all the mushrooms in different dimensional realms, right? So they're all connected. You know what I mean? It's very fascinating. That's why when people do mushrooms, they have access to those, whatever the elemental realm has access to, they usually are able to go inside of that. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying they aren't having experiences, but I'm talking about outside the firmament. So a real contactee who's having access to beings outside the firmament, they aren't doing those. But people who have access to the other realms inside the firmament, yeah, you got the elementals, where you got the trolls, the fairies, you got the pixies, you got the elves, you got, what else? You've got the mushrooms. You've got, who else is in that kingdom? Because the mushrooms are all in that kingdom. That's where you access them in the elemental realm. Yeah. They're fungus. Yeah. So they have a different realm. So that's why I think people who do mushrooms, if you ever listen to them, it sounds like they're accessing in between those realms within the kingdoms in the elemental realms. Because you hear them. You can hear them talk about it. It's very interesting. You know what I mean? Okay. There's different beings that live there. So it isn't that they aren't having, I don't want to make it seem like they're not having contact, but everything they're having contact with is underneath the dome. Okay. And if you know we're living in a simulation, what does that tell you? The beings that they're in contact with are in the simulation. Did you hear me? The beings that they're having contact with are part and in the simulation. So it doesn't matter if they're fairies or so on, they're all underneath the dome. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, So, yes, the pole shift is coming, y'all. We're in a simulation. The simulation is ending. We got the whole NPCs are disappearing, okay? They're disappearing, and you should be prepared, okay? So how they disappear, it could be a grand, event, like people just a big booms, all these people leave, something like they get shotted up with a new shot. People start. Now, if you look at all the celebrities, I mean, every day they're talking about player transition. They're talking about this guy transition. Those are all because it's a combination platter. It's a geo-engineered Kukarachi kill shot, which 3 years, remember they told you 3 years people would start transcending. Remember that? The Kukarachis, Kukarach, see, as soon as I say it. That's how you know we're in a simulation. As soon as I say something. This is a simulation will activate things to be distractive. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Hi, babe. Babette's here with me. Okay, so there will be grandstandard events that people will disappear, okay? They got to create it because it's a simulation. They can't make you know it's a simulation. What's the point of being in a video game when you know you're in a video game, right? So, come on, Cookie. So, mass people will disappear, and that has to do with the Kukaracha shot, okay? The Kukaracha shot said they had 3 years shelf life, okay? Do you remember that? The Kukarachi shot said they had 3 years shelf life. I remember because we were on Zoom. Hold on. Lola, what do you see, Lola? It's a simulation, y'all. As soon as I'm about to tell you something. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So, the simulation's ending, and what's going to happen is that they're going to create these fake narratives. Also, they gave the Kukarachi kill shot, and in 2020, many of you remember when I told you about it, it wasn't me who said it. It was all of the archives and the governmental system said they have a 3-year shelf life, and at 3 years, people start leaving this stratosphere, this simulation, and it already started because most people didn't get the Kukarachi kill shot until 2021. So if you realize they got the Kukarachi kill shot in 2021, then you'll realize that the transitions that you're starting to see happen are happening right on time. It's unfortunate, but they are going to be okay. They'll come back in the simulation for another loop. If they most likely got the Kukarachi kill shot, they're here for the looping, okay? It's low-jacking them to the reality underneath the firmament. So they got low-jacked into the firmament. So basically, they may experience, now remember, they can be survivors inside of the simulation post-pole shift. They can survive it, but they're tethered now because they took the Kukarachi kill shot. That's why they had certain people get it. The Kukarachi kill shot tethers you to the simulation. So you will be coming back for a loop. You might experience, if you survive the pole shift, then you get to enjoy the amenities of being on the surface while the dark Kabbalists are all underneath the ground plotting and planning for their resurgence on the surface of the simulated moon surface, okay? So, but for those who hadn't gotten the Kukarachi kill shot and you were going to stay to reach 0 point, you wake up out of the simulation, okay? So you wake up in your pod. I'm one of the people who will usher you to incentivize you to leave with one of the 12 tribes, the 12 groups that entered into this simulation. So you will exit left or right, going into your groups that you came in with, and you will be going to 0 point where you will wake up out of the simulation in your pods, okay? So remember, it is like a video game too. As the closer you get to waking up and going to your final destination to exit the simulation, you're going to have challenges and tests, because the only way that you can wake is you have to reach a certain frequency altitude. So once you reach a certain, it's the whole concept of like bringing your heart against a feather, like my aunt, you aren't, that's why you aren't to take in sides or take too much data that's going to lower your frequency with sadness, depression, you know, loathing. Those are all things that would make you really heavy and disallow you from reaching 0 point. Okay. So it's important for you to do that. So for those who are deciding to exit with your 12 groups, they call them tribes. It's 12 groups that exited last time. We're going back to 0 point. You will start to experience the merging back with your groups in order to end the simulated world, okay? But for those who are staying, who are tethered to it, it doesn't mean it's the end all be all for you. It just means that you're going to experience the pole shift. And for that reason, you probably should just pay attention to your geographical locations and start to really anchor yourself with a certain level of preparedness, okay? Because you in it for the long haul. Now, if you survive the pole shift, you're gonna have an amazing time, because then it's gonna be really safe. All these NPCs are gonna be gone. All these diabolical bastards, they go underneath the ground because they can't handle the magnetic energy because they're so low vibrational. They'll all be underneath the ground for like a good, I think it's quite a few years. Also, you won't have to worry about, you may have to be concerned about the cyborgs, because the cyborgs are weather proofed. So the cyborgs, you know, that whole Terminator thing, that might be an issue. I don't know. So, you know, I'm just assuming, because they're, you know, like I said, they may have biological outside exterior, but the skeletal is all metal and it's probably waterproof. So these suckers might be, you know, maybe the Dark Kabbalists created them so they can kind of control the narrative. So there's ways you could deal with those cyborgs, because remember, anything that requires to be powered by something can be taken out too. So we'll have the discussion at another time, okay? Please refrain. The war is all pre-orchestrated. If you think it's real, like, you will see people really transition because it's all in alignment with the whole reset. So, you know, people leave during this time. All your favorite celebrities, all your favorite shows, especially if they have a nostalgic feeling inside of you, they're going to take them out first because they need to clear you. Reset is also clearing your memory of beings here that made you have reminiscence of certain time frames, okay? Because they got to clear it. All right. Do know that all your foods, everything is being, you know, Bill Gates is Bill Ill Gates, right? B is a 13, ill is his last name, Gates. So he's the illness gate, okay? He's the gate of illness. So B is a 13, ill is after his name, and Gates. So he's ushering people into sickness. Anything, like I told you about the Bragg's apple cider vinegar, pissed me off. Using the artificial apple skins to make the apple cider vinegar pissed everybody off. There's a whole bunch of things too. Yes, the coffee of mass destruction. You got Starbucks. All of them is, and also do know, like with all McDonald's and Starbucks, you know, remember they're saying the Palestinians were saying they're striking all that. That is not just them saying that, y'all. It's part of the simulation. They're telling you to not engage with them if you support Palestine, but the simulation is going to counter that with saying if you don't support them, they're going to penalize you like they did in New York. It's all cap, y'all. You aren't supposed to be eating McDonald's. Why would you think that I don't care if the Palestinians told you or not. That's what I'm saying. They're going to capture you some way or not. You shouldn't be eating McDonald's. You shouldn't be, listen, you get on me with Starbucks saying it's chemicalized, you know, nanobots. Yes, all these things are unhealthy anyway. So you already know that we're not supposed to touch them anyway. So there's like the simulation on one hand will tell you not to touch it because of a cause, because of the Palestinians, right? But really in itself, it's not that. It's incentivizing you to stay away from the very thing that is going to lower your frequency. It isn't health conscious, okay? So it's very important. No, Katy Perry bought it, but remember, she started to get in bed and, you know, conceptually, you know, like she started to do things with Bill Gates. He started to be connected to that, okay? So for that reason, it's important for you to just pay attention to, and you know, I'm going to do I'm not going to do a fast, y'all. I'm going to begin to power my body naturally again. You know, I'm going to start to use my body to maximum capacity, as I know we're getting close to reset and also waking up out of the pod fully. So what I decided to do is I'll go, and some of you would join me. I think I don't want to do it because during this time, you know, people come over, the holidays, all the satanic rituals going on that other family members engage with. I'm going to start to power my body without utilizing food. Many of you know I did the 30-day water fast and I looked and felt amazing. I personally think the reason why most Indigenous bulk, big up to Alex for noticing that, most Indigenous women, we bulk because we're eating a lot of the colonizers' foods. So you'll see someone like me and you say, oh, she's a fatty, she eats a lot of food. It isn't true. It's the foods that have been progenerated to the native women. It causes inflammation and it causes bulking, okay? Because I personally know now that the Indigenous women weren't eating. There's a movie that talks about the women in, a woman in South America. I forgot, it's called Green something. What is it called? Green something, Green Frontier. And remember, she didn't drink or eat. And she just basically, and she was able to make herself invisible and kind of cloak herself in a tree. I personally know now the reason why most women, especially women of color, because a lot of them are Indigenous, we bulk because we weren't eating. Eating is an artificial thing that was progenerated by colonization. Colonizers brought the concept of eating because they had to eat. If they don't eat, they go and get skinny like nothing. You know what I mean? Look at Survivor. Survivor will show you how some people cannot eat and they basically waste away. Whereas most Indigenous women, we basically can self-sustain ourselves without food and limited water. So I realized that I'm one of those beings. So how did I know this? Is by fasting all these years and noticing that when I totally stop bringing taking in food from the outside, my body actually is at maximum capacity and is healthy. So I decided probably before the New Year's, Chinese New Year's, okay, you know, the real New Year's, I'm deciding to go and power my body naturally. I'll probably go into raw for a while and then I will start to become a breatharian, okay? And I will do this because I feel like I benefit and my body is made for that. So I wouldn't suggest that everyone do it because again, if you aren't built to be self-sustaining with your body, meaning that my body, if I don't eat, I will be fine. Like if somebody else doesn't eat for 50 days, they're gonna wither away and they'll pass away. With my body, I notice that I'm fine without eating. A lot of Indigenous women, we bulk. If you look at the Samoans, all the women over in Polynesian islands, if you notice, they only became chunky when they were exposed to colonizing foods. Foods are like starches, potatoes, things that aren't indigenous to those places. I notice now that Indigenous women, we weren't eating. We weren't eating at all. And we had water occasionally. I think we had fruit, high fruit off the trees, but I have a feeling we didn't eat. That's why we bulked when colonizers came to our areas. And previous to colonizers coming, we weren't bulky. Okay, that's just my opinion, you know, and I'll be able to vet this out. So for those, yeah, those who are deciding to, I don't think I want you to join because I don't know if that'll be unhealthy for you, but I really feel like for those of you who are deciding to really become sovereign in your own biosphere, your own biotechnology, I think you should start preparing your body to be totally self-reliant. I think that is something that the Indigenous did quite naturally, and I think we need to return to that because they're poisoning all the food and water anyway. So we might as well become self-sustaining so that we can actually, you know, have our good minds while we're going through this before reset. And it isn't a lot of time. Time is an artificial construct, but if you know that we're about to go through something in 2 years, which normally would have taken like 50, it's probably the time that we need to work on that. So I'll probably go raw. Come on, Cookie. I'm probably going to go raw for a while first. And some of you can join me. I love raw because, you know, I did raw. I'm more of a raw person from coming from another place. But I think I'm going to go raw for a while. And if you guys want to join me, we'll probably start in about, I think in January, if you guys want to start around January, we could start up. Start clearing out all your metals and everything. Do your EDTA, do your clearing out. Because once we go into raw and we start to go into breatharianism, we're going to be higher beings. So we want to make sure we get rid of all the nanotechnology. So we'll start to work on that on Wearby and Zoom. We'll start to build we're going to build like a routine to start to clear out the metals, then clear out any parasites, because it'll make it easier for us to go into breatharianism, and then we'll go into raw, like we'll slowly transition. It's the holiday. I'm not going to tell anyone to do it because a lot of you are going to practice your last years of the holidays. It's probably the last couple of years you're going to see holidays in this way. So you can enjoy your time there, and then we'll start going around January, around after, because you know, I would like to start fully during the dragon year. When the dragon year begins, we'll start to go and start our journey through raw and going into breatharianism. If you want to join, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I realized that eating food and having food isn't part of my genetic makeup. And as an Indigenous woman, my body wasn't made for foods, especially those that came after colonization. So I realized why you always calling women fat, black women and all that kind of stuff is because you're right. Because most Indigenous women that are brown, we weren't eating food. Okay. And I think they told us we did all the through the pyramid food, telling you have to eat 3 meals a day. That all, listen, all the inflammation food, telling you to eat white flour, telling you to eat white flour, white rice, things that basically break down your system. Indigenous women weren't doing that. That's why we're suffering now. Okay. With all the kind of craziness, fibroids and all that stuff, that's all from the food. It's all death food. Remember, they're death worshipers too. They worship death all the time. Look at their Halloween celebrations. They don't worship Halloween with their ancestors. They worship death. They dress up as death people, dead bodies, hanging bodies from the tree during Halloween. They're death worshiper. Everything on their money with dead trees, with dead people on the trees. They worship death behavior. They worship death. All their movies that they watch on television have to do with death. They're death worshipers. So why would you be involved with beings that are progenitors of death? Like it's because that's all they know. They're beings that are only encapsulated in this triple OG life sentence of a looper. So all they do is obsess with death. They jump out of planes. They do crazy things because they don't really worship life. They aren't life bringers. They aren't life worshipers. They worship death. Even the music they will listen to is like spiking your water, making you like sickly. I mean, all this Satanism, killing babies, that's all death culture. Okay? In order to bring in more light codes, we have to have more light. And in order to have more light, we really have to stop engaging in death, like death of things, like death culture, like exchange. You know, that's what I'm saying. The whole monetary system that's getting rid of paper money, that's also, we think that it's negative. It isn't. We shouldn't be using the tree's skins as a form of exchange. That's their death. So you using the money in itself, the paper money, is death culture with dead presidents, right? It's all death. Like everything, like the things that we do is all death. Like just having a lack of compassion for the cows and their death, drinking the very milk. You'll demonize a woman who has natural breast milk, but you'll basically worship cows and ice cream and all that stuff where the mother's milk is being robbed from her to give you ice cream and cheese, but then her milk is being given to strangers where her baby calf can't even get milk from her mother. This is the kind of culture we live in. Demonize a natural woman who has natural milk, but basically worship cow drinking, pus drinking people who believe in hurting baby cows and mothers of baby calves and drinking that milk and eating pizza and cheese like that's nothing. But they'll tell you they're conscious though, right? As they eat a nice greasy slice of pizza, right? Right? Okay? And then I remember that, you know, anyway, I don't want to go into that. Okay, y'all. I think it's enough. So tonight, I gotta get ready for tonight. Tonight we'll be on again on Weirby, probably Zoom, wherever we'll be. Join us tonight on Zoom or Weirby. We're gonna get into this. I'm gonna start breaking down. I'm gonna do our regimen for pre-breatharianism. I'm going into breatharianism. You don't have to. I love pizza too, AJ. Don't get it twisted. I'm a New Yorker. We love a good slice of pizza. But I'm just saying, you know, they demonize your breast milk, but then they'll eat a slice of pizza. Talk about hypocrisy. You know what I mean? Yeah, tonight we'll talk about the breakdown, getting ready. Not everybody has to do breatharianism. My body, as you see, I would be fine being a breatharian. Why? Because you can see that my body's made up for that. Okay, so we'll do that. Tonight we'll be on Werribee. And then also I'm going to start getting ready for Aquarius Rising. I'm going to bring that back. Probably, I think I'm going to bring Aquarius Rising with the phone calls and everything probably within the next month or two. So that also you can have access on Patreon, on Werribee or Zoom. So I just got to get that together. So I'm excited. This amazing time. The simulation is ending, y'all. The video game is going buck wild. You better have as much fun as possible. Be self-aware because you don't want to be lost in the sauce in this video game. You know what I'm saying? It's getting buck wild in here. Make sure you aren't engaging with NPCs. Watch your wands. Watch your yonis, sea stars. Be careful the wands you let into your into your Stargate, because not all wands are the same in this piece. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking forward to Panic, who's transcended to the other side, to see if in fact he sends codes back from his transition. So I'm excited to also see that, because he was a master at transcending and getting people prepared for transition, and he transitioned. So it's be interesting to see what he may progenerate back into our reality. I'm excited to see that again. So y'all, thank you again. I hope I wasn't very I didn't mean to offend anyone. I always apologize, because again, you aren't having to be, I needed you to be my cheerleaders. I don't have to get your approval. I do apologize, because sometimes the things I share can be a little disturbing, and I know that my formulated awareness can be slightly overwhelming, so I apologize for that if I offended you in any which way. But I look forward to ending this simulation. I'm going to enjoy the simulation as much as possible, because you know, this is a world that we get to create everything that we exist in. So that's kind of fun. You know what I mean? We might as well maximize without hurting or doing anything that will lower our frequency, but we might as well enjoy it. Okay. So y'all, do join me tonight. I'll be on at 7 p.m. Central or 9 p.m. Eastern on Zoom or Werribee, wherever we be on Werribee. Okay, join us on Patreon. You can join and engage in the conversation. We went on the 12 tribes. That's how we got the 12 groups last night. And 12 times 12 is 144. Okay, they already started. Okay. Whenever I get into it, it goes on. Okay, so thank you for everyone joining. Please put a handy dandy like in a video if you like the content. Hopefully it'll stay up. And I really appreciate the share. Please share your opinion. I love to read your opinions. As long as you're respectful, I always am open to reading and listening to some of your yes, he did. Yes. Oh yes, Horse, he did. He transitioned. He knew when to go though too. Panic is, yeah, he was a master of that. He did exactly what he did. He left around that Halloween time where that veil was totally open. He purposefully did that. It was amazing. Anyway, thank you everyone. I'm gonna go. As you see, the simulation is going bonkers. So I will see you all this evening, or I'll see you next time when I'm on Zoom. Peace.